Letting a stranger in from the rain, the little girl made a terrifying discovery.
Hello everyone. Enjoy these relaxing moments while you watch.
It had started raining just after nightfall, and the downpour only grew heavier. Mom, I think the roads might flood tonight. It's raining so hard, Lucy said anxiously. Claire was busy doing the dishes. She turned to glance at her daughter. It's okay, honey. Our house is on high ground. But don't open the window again, the wind makes it really cold in here. Lucy nodded gently, closed the glass pane, and flinched as a loud knock echoed through the house. Both mother and daughter froze. Lucy quickly grabbed her mother's arm. Mom, who's knocking? Claire tried to reassure her, but her voice betrayed a hint of wariness. Probably someone caught in the rain. We'll check, just politely tell them no. She cracked the door open. A man stood there, baseball cap pulled low, face covered with a mask, rain-soaked coat dripping water from the brim of his hat onto his shoulders. Sorry, my truck broke down about 2 kilometers from here. I was trying to find shelter from the rain. I know I'm intruding, but I just need a dry spot for a bit. His voice was deep and clear, with a trace of fatigue. He didn't bow or shiver from the cold, his eyes, in fact, looked very alert. Claire hesitated. Are you alone? Yes, ma'am. I'm a driver. My truck's hauling goods from Albuquerque to California. My phone maps down no signal. Then the storm hit, and I had no other choice. Lucy stood behind her mother, peering through the small opening in the door. She felt something was off. The man didn't look like someone in real trouble. He stood too calmly, his gaze sweeping over the yard like he was memorizing every detail. Claire hesitated for a few more seconds, then nodded. All right. But just for a little while. Once the rain eases, you'll need to go. Of course, the man smiled, but his smile didn't warm the house, which was slowly growing colder from the gusts blowing in. He stepped inside, removed his cap, revealing neatly combed salt and pepper hair and a chiseled, slightly gaunt face. His muddy boots left wet prints on the floor. My name is Andrew, he said. Thank you, both of you, for your kindness. Lucy stayed close to the wall. Claire flinched slightly upon seeing his face but forced a calm tone as she invited him to sit by the fireplace. Have a seat here to warm up. I'll make some hot tea. Are you hungry? We've got a bit of bread left. Tea will be plenty, thank you. Andrew's eyes swept across the room, pausing briefly on the framed wedding photo on the shelf. Is your husband not home? He asked, casually, but with an edge. Claire stiffened. I've been divorced for years. Lucy clenched her fists. Why would he ask that? A stranger, just walked into their home, and already prying into something so personal? Oh. I'm sorry, Andrew said, though his eyes stayed fixed on the photo. Claire poured the tea, her hands trembling slightly. Lucy gently tugged her mother's sleeve as Andrew turned away. Mom, don't let him stay long. Claire nodded subtly, saying nothing. She was clearly calculating something. Outside, the wind howled, rattling the windows. Inside, silence spread among the three of them. Lucy watched carefully. Though Andrew sat still, his eyes kept darting down the hallway, up the stairs, toward the kitchen door. He seemed to be mapping the house. Each time the lights flickered from the storm, Lucy caught a strange glint in his eyes. She slowly backed away and pulled out her phone, typing a message to Mr. Nolan, the elderly neighbor who often chatted with her mom and used to work as a guard in town. The message was simple. There's a stranger in our house. We're worried. Can you come check? Sent. No read receipt. Weak signal. Lucy bit her lip. Not good. Suddenly, Andrew turned to her. What grade are you in? 8th, Lucy answered curtly. Smart girl. I figured that from the moment I walked in. He smiled again, but Lucy didn't respond, just looked down. Claire jumped in, drink your tea. This kind of weather makes it easy to catch a cold. Thanks. So how long have you and your daughter lived here? Almost 7 years. It's a quiet neighborhood, Claire said quickly, as if trying to close the topic. Yes, very quiet, Andrew replied, eyes still drifting across the room. Lucy noticed him fidgeting with his phone, like he was trying to record something, but she couldn't be sure. A gust rattled the windows hard. A bolt of lightning split the sky. All three of them jumped. Excuse me, Claire said. I should probably check the circuit breaker. It's been a while. Could the girl show me where the bathroom is? Andrew asked, standing up. Lucy swallowed hard, eyes on her mother. Claire gave a slight nod. End of the hall, to the left, she said. Andrew nodded and walked off. As soon as he disappeared behind the door, Claire grabbed Lucy tightly. Listen to me, but stay calm. He's not a truck driver. Not Andrew. Lucy's eyes widened. Who? He's your father. Lucy froze. She stared at her mother, thinking she'd misheard. Dad. What are you saying? I don't understand. Claire held her hand, her voice shaking but firm. His real name is Gabriel. Not Andrew. He's my ex-husband. The one I filed a restraining order against. Lucy took a step back, goosebumps rising all over. Bits of hazy memories, times she asked about her father and her mother always avoided the subject, flooded back. She had never been told the whole story. And now the stranger in their home was him. How do you know for sure? Lucy whispered. Claire pointed to the landline phone, where an old photo lay face down. I saw it in his eyes. When he looked at the wedding picture, he tried to hide it. But I'll never forget that face, that stare. The toilet flushed. Claire pulled Lucy close. Listen to me. Don't take your eyes off him. Watch everything he says, every move. We'll find a way, but for now, stay calm. Lucy nodded, heart pounding in her chest. She gripped her phone tightly in her pocket. Gabriel, still calling himself Andrew, stepped out, drying his hands with a towel. Thanks. Very clean bathroom. You both clearly live neatly. Claire gave a stiff smile. Just a habit. Lucy sat on the chair across from him, silent but watching. Gabriel circled the room again, seemingly casual but clearly studying everything, which windows had latches, how many locks on the door, if the stairs had railings, if there were dogs. Old house, but solid, he remarked. Do you often let strangers in? Claire shook her head. No, but it's raining too hard. I didn't want anyone standing outside in that. Very kind of you, Gabriel smiled, then added suddenly, I used to live in a house like this too. Had a wife and a daughter. But they left me. Lucy shivered. Gabriel glanced at her, his expression unreadable. Do you believe in fate? No, Lucy replied sharply. Claire stood up. I think you've rested enough. We need to get ready for bed. Gabriel crossed his arms. You haven't asked where I plan to go. I actually think you should leave before the rain gets worse, Claire said, firmer. Gabriel tilted his head. I will. But first, who's in that photo? Lucy held her breath. Claire turned and saw him pointing at the wedding photo she had flipped down earlier. It's an old story, Claire said. Yes, Gabriel nodded, eyes unblinking. So old, the person in it means nothing to you now, right? Lucy cut in, you don't have the right to ask my mom that. Gabriel turned toward her. I'm just making conversation. No law against that, is there? Lucy clenched her fists, looking at her mom for help. Claire gave a slight shake of the head. Stay calm. Gabriel sat again, but this time he pulled an old phone from his jacket. No signal, but he powered it on as if checking something. Claire looked at the clock, faking a calm tone. "Do you have any acquaintances nearby? I could call someone for you." "No need," Gabriel replied, eyes still on the screen. "I don't trust strangers. Strangers can betray you at any time." Lucy felt every word of his like a veiled threat. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. All three flinched. Claire motioned for Lucy to step back while she approached the door. She peered through the peephole and exhaled in relief. "It's Mr. Nolan." She opened the door. A man in his 60s, raincoat on, hat pulled low, stood on the porch. "Hi Claire. Your girl texted me, said you had a visitor. Thought I'd check in." Gabriel raised an eyebrow. "Family friend?" "Yes," Claire answered quickly. "Mr. Nolan lives nearby. He's an old friend of my ex-husband." Nolan stepped in, his eyes cautious. "With a storm like this, figured it's best to make sure all is well." Gabriel smiled. "I'm just resting. Nothing serious. But it's good that neighbors here look out for each other." Lucy relaxed slightly at Nolan's presence. He glanced at her quietly, as if sensing something was wrong. "I brought a little radio. There's a report lightning struck a transmission tower nearby. Might lose phone service for a while." Claire frowned. "So, no contact at all?" "Exactly. I tried calling the local police post, no signal." Gabriel chuckled softly. "Strange, isn't it? When you need help most, nothing works. Just like when I lost everything, and no one came." Lucy looked at her mom. Claire spoke slowly, "Mr. Nolan, could you stay a while? It's still pouring out." "I was planning to," Nolan said, placing the radio on the table and sitting in the wooden chair next to Lucy. Gabriel didn't seem pleased, but he said nothing more. All four of them sat in the living room, surrounded by the unrelenting sound of rain. Claire went to the kitchen to prepare more tea. Lucy followed her, taking the chance to whisper, "Mom, do you think Mr. Nolan can help us? I'm not sure. But at the very least, he knows my past." Lucy flinched. "You mean, he knows Gabriel?" Claire gave a small nod. "He once witnessed Gabriel hitting me right in the middle of the market." Lucy clenched her fists. In the living room, Nolan spoke up, "Mr. Andrew, can I see the vehicle papers? What exactly are you transporting in that truck?" Gabriel stared at him, then smiled. "They're in the truck. But it's raining, and I don't want to go back out there. Besides, I haven't done anything wrong here. We just want to be sure," Nolan replied, eyes fixed on him. Gabriel stood up and walked slowly around the room. His hand brushed against a framed family photo. Lucy turned her face away. She didn't want him touching any of the memories in their home. "Small family, but cozy," Gabriel said softly. Claire returned, carrying a tray of tea. She set it down quietly and said, "I think you should leave now. Rain isn't an excuse to disturb someone else's peace." Gabriel looked at her and chuckled softly. "I'm just a lost man. But if you insist, I'll go." He put on his coat, grabbed his hat, and headed toward the door but didn't walk straight out. Gabriel turned back and looked deeply into Lucy's eyes. "You're a smart girl. But don't think you know everything. Blood is still blood." Then he turned and disappeared into the rain. Lucy stood frozen. Rain continued to pour outside, but inside the old wooden house, silence fell like a suffocating blanket. As the door shut behind Gabriel, Claire rushed to lock it 3 times, bolted it, and shoved a wooden chair under the handle as if to keep out something worse than the storm. Lucy stood there, staring at the door, unable to believe he had really left. "Blood is still blood," the words echoed in her mind like a curse. Claire gasped, leaning back against the wall. Nolan picked up the radio, turned the knob gently, then looked at the mother and daughter. I need to listen. If we get a signal back, I'll call the police immediately. But before that, you need to tell Lucy the truth. Claire nodded slightly, her eyes burning. Gabriel is my ex-husband. He's your biological father, Lucy. The one you never met. Lucy spun around. Why did you keep that from me? Why now? Claire choked on her words. Because I wanted you to grow up without trauma. Without being hurt by someone who didn't deserve to be called a father. Lucy looked at her mother, mind spinning. What did he do? Claire sat down, her trembling hands holding a cup of cold tea. Gabriel used to be a good husband, or at least, I thought so. But when I got pregnant with you, he changed. He became jealous, angry for no reason, then started yelling, beating me. He even tried to force me to get an abortion. Nolan added in a low voice, I once saw him grab Claire by the hair and slam her head into his truck at the Central Market. She was 7 months pregnant at the time. Lucy's eyes widened. Oh my God. Claire nodded, tears falling onto her hands. I endured it, until one night, he tried to strangle me in our living room. If it hadn't been for Mr. Nolan stepping in, you might never have been born. And after that, Lucy's voice cracked. You ran away. Yes. Claire sighed. The next morning, I packed everything and fled with you. I managed to get a restraining order after months of working with a lawyer, but Gabriel kept texting, threatening. Then one day, he just vanished. Nolan added, I haven't seen him in years. Last I heard, he was arrested for assault in another case and fled the area. I didn't expect him to come back. Lucy sat down, gripping the edge of the chair. Mom, he knows everything. He knows our house. He knows me. Claire nodded, eyes vacant. He's been watching us for a long time. I'm sure of it. Outside, thunder rolled again and again, as if the sky itself was enraged. Nolan tried the phone again, still no signal. He stood up and checked every window, every latch, every tiny crack. We need to prepare. He hasn't gone far. A man like him never gives up easily. Claire gripped Lucy's arm. Go upstairs. Pack only the essentials. And, don't cry. This isn't the time. Lucy nodded and ran upstairs, her mind in chaos. Her small room, once filled with childhood dreams, had now become a fortress. She grabbed her backpack, stuffed in a few clothes, a notebook, her phone, and the camera she cherished most. A sound behind her made her freeze. Mom. It's me, Claire panted. I found a copy of the restraining order. The police might need it. Lucy looked at the old, crumpled document, the faded text. She touched it, feeling the weight of a memory buried too long. Mom. I hate him. I don't want to call him my father. And you don't have to. Claire pulled her daughter into a tight hug. Downstairs, Nolan shouted, someone's at the door. Claire rushed down, pulling Lucy with her. The living room window was slightly ajar. Gabriel was no longer at the front door, but at the back gate, about 5 meters away, holding a long metal rod. Rain blurred his figure, but there was no mistaking him. Come out. Gabriel shouted. I haven't done anything wrong. Claire, you owe me the truth. Nolan stood in front of the door, gripping the wooden baton he had kept since his security guard days. Claire shouted through the door crack, go away. I already called the police. Gabriel scoffed, called. There's no signal. I checked. Not a single cell tower nearby. You think I'm stupid? Lucy clung tightly to her mother's arm. Gabriel stepped closer. Nolan raised his baton. One more step and I'll break your legs. Old man, what can you do? I don't hit women anymore. I just want to see my daughter. I have rights. What rights? Claire screamed, tears flowing. The right to kill. The right to beat your wife and child. Gabriel froze, then laughed loudly. Yes. I was wrong. But you can't deny the truth. I'm her father. And she needs to know that. Lucy yelled, "You're not my father. I don't have a father like you." Gabriel's eyes flared. You know nothing. Nolan stepped back slightly and signaled Claire. We need to get inside, lock everything. If he breaks the gate, we need time. Claire pulled Lucy upstairs. Gabriel slammed the metal gate, the sound booming through the rain like a death drum. Upstairs, Lucy pulled out her phone and tried opening the SOS app she had downloaded but never thought she'd need. No signal, she whispered, but her hands moved quickly. In moments, she activated a feature called Emergency Beacon via Bluetooth, which allowed her phone to emit a distress signal within a short range. She placed the phone by the window. Mom, if there's any rescue team or police nearby, maybe they'll pick this up. Claire nodded, eyes glistening. You did good. Downstairs, Nolan held the door. The banging continued, and this time, with a threat that made Claire collapse to her knees. If you don't open this door, tonight will be your last peaceful night. Lucy hugged her mother, her heart pounding. That night's rain felt endless. Water trickled from the small roof onto the stone floor, while inside, Claire held Lucy tightly, both trembling at the silence that followed the final blow to the door. Claire whispered, "Maybe he's gone." Lucy shook her head. "No. He's waiting. You said it yourself, he never gives up." Downstairs, Nolan remained at his post, next to the main door, holding the wooden stick firmly. His eyes scanned the darkness through the small window slit. The radio light blinked faintly in his hand, like a fragile flame trying to survive a night full of menace. Claire decided to go downstairs. "Stay here. Don't come out. I need to talk to Mr. Nolan." Lucy held her hand. "Be careful, if he comes back." Claire gave a pale smile. "I've survived this long. Do you really think I'll let him repeat that nightmare again?" Lucy stayed quiet, watching her mother leave the room, her heart full of fear and pride. Downstairs, Claire joined Nolan. "Do you see anything?" "No," he replied. "But I can feel it, he's still close. Maybe hiding somewhere, waiting for his chance." Claire looked out the window. The thick night outside seemed like a curtain of death waiting to fall. Suddenly, the sound of knocking came again, but this time, it was gentle. As if a polite man were borrowing a little kindness. Claire trembled. Nolan raised a hand for silence, then gently pressed his ear against the door. A deep voice floated in, carried by the rain. "Claire. I'm sorry. I just want to talk. Just talk, that's all. No one needs to get hurt. You know that. I just want to be a father to the girl." Claire bit her lip. Nolan clenched his jaw and whispered, "Don't answer. He's testing for a reaction." But Claire couldn't hold back. "Gabriel, leave. You have no right over the girl. Leave us alone." The voice stopped. A heavy pause. Then he spoke again, slower this time. "Don't you get it? I've lost everything. My job, my home. You and the girl are all I have left. If I can't have you, then no one will." A strong gust of wind shook the windows violently. Claire jumped and looked back, but Nolan stood firm as stone, his eyes locked on the darkness. "Claire," Gabriel said again. "Remember? The old wooden chair on the porch, the chandelier you bought in New York City. Who do you think remembers those things? Me. The only one who truly belongs to this house." Nolan muttered, "He's playing on emotions. Classic manipulator psychology." Claire tightened her fists. "He used to beat me, choked me in front of the neighbors. That kind of love is just a scar carved into my mind. At that moment, footsteps echoed down the stairs. Lucy. The girl had refused to stay upstairs. She came down holding a small knife from the kitchen. Claire turned, panicked. Lucy. What are you doing? Lucy looked at her mother, resolute. If he gets in, I won't let him touch you. Claire froze, tears falling. You don't have to. I have to. You protected me before. Now it's my turn to protect you. Nolan stood still, watching Lucy with deep respect. He leaned down and said softly, but let the adults handle the danger. You stay behind and protect your mom. Stay sharp. The knocking stopped. Then came the sound of breaking glass from the kitchen. All three of them spun around. Damn it! Nolan shouted and rushed to the back of the house. Gabriel had smashed the kitchen window with a brick. His hand reached inside, trying to unlock the latch. Lucy screamed. Claire pulled her daughter down the hallway while Nolan struck Gabriel's arm with the wooden baton, forcing him back. Get out of this house, you bastard! Nolan roared, eyes blazing in the dark. Gabriel screamed in pain, stumbled back a few steps but didn't give up. He kicked away the chair blocking the back door and began ramming it with his foot. Nolan backed away, voice hoarse. Claire, lock the door from inside. I'll hold it here. Try calling again. Pray there's signal now. Claire bolted up the stairs, dragging Lucy with her. This time, Lucy didn't resist. She pulled out her phone, toggled airplane mode off and on. 1 bar. Then 2. Mom! There's signal, she shouted, her hands shaking. Call the police. Claire dialed emergency services, her voice shrieking into the phone. There's an intruder threatening to break into my home. It's Gabriel Harris. Address is 14, Elm Street, near the Valley. Signal received. Nearest unit en route, the automated voice replied. Claire dropped the phone, collapsing, tears streaming. Lucy hugged her, whispering, we did it. We're going to make it. But the sound of the back door crashing in made them flinch. Gabriel was in. He shouted, Claire! Come out! Stop hiding! His footsteps thundered up the stairs. The mother and daughter retreated into Lucy's room and slammed the door shut. But, the lock had been broken for years. Lucy trembled, grabbing her phone, quickly tapping the emergency location button again. Outside, Nolan could be heard banging and shouting for help. Gabriel was standing right outside Lucy's door. The footsteps stopped. Claire pulled Lucy close as she dragged a small dresser in front of the door, knowing full well the lock was useless. One strong kick would tear it down like cardboard. Gabriel's hand hit the doorknob, and his familiar voice came through, filled with rage and bitterness. Claire! Open the door. Don't make me do something you'll regret for the rest of your life. Lucy backed up, trying to stay calm. He's not going to leave. He wants to control everything, even his own destruction. Claire was trembling. Her hand gripped a rusted kitchen knife, the only weapon they had. If he gets in, you run to the balcony. I'll hold him off. Lucy shook her head, voice choked, I'm not leaving you. You will if I say so. You're my future. You're everything. Bang! A kick. The door shuddered. The wooden dresser shifted. Claire screamed, Gabriel. The police are coming. You'll go to prison again. His voice came back, mocking, prison is better than living without my child. You think that restraining order will protect you forever? Bang! Again. Lucy pulled up the SOS app again. The signal was still weak, but she sent the location once more, hoping someone would get there in time. Downstairs, a cry of pain echoed, then silence. Lucy shuddered. Did he hurt Mr. Nolan? Claire's voice broke, "We have to be ready." Bang! The door burst open. Gabriel stormed in, eyes bloodshot, soaked head to toe, holding a broken piece of wood. "I told you, don't push me." Lucy screamed and threw a lamp at him, hitting his shoulder. He staggered and roared, "You little brat, you dare hit me?" Claire charged at him, thrusting the knife. Gabriel dodged, grabbed her arm and twisted it hard. Claire cried out in pain. "I didn't want to hit you, Claire, but you're forcing me." Lucy grabbed a broom by her desk and struck him across the back. He turned and slapped her hard. Lucy flew backward into the corner. Claire screamed, "Don't you dare touch my daughter." Gabriel panted, then stopped. He looked at Lucy, her face swollen, eyes full of tears as she struggled to sit up. "I didn't want this," he murmured. "I just wanted to see her. To talk. To explain." Claire shook her head, shielding her daughter. "You're not her father anymore. You never were." Gabriel froze. Wind howled outside the window, rain pelting the roof. Then the sound of sirens pierced the night. Gabriel spun around, eyes wild. "No, it can't be." Claire gripped Lucy's hand, raising her voice, "You won't escape. You made your choice." Gabriel backed away but didn't flee. He looked at Claire, then Lucy. A flicker of agony flashed across his face, as if he were truly broken. But only for a second. The sirens grew louder. He turned and ran down the stairs. Claire clutched Lucy and followed. "Mr. Nolan." No response. Downstairs, Nolan lay slumped near the cabinet, blood trickling from his forehead. Claire knelt beside him, trembling. Are you okay?" Nolan opened his eyes, voice raspy, "I'm fine. He hit me with a pipe. But I blocked most of it." Lucy grabbed his hand, overjoyed. Outside, Gabriel staggered into the yard only to be blinded by two headlights. "Harris! Freeze! Drop your weapon," boomed the voice from a police car. Gabriel froze. He looked up at the sky. "Again," he muttered. "Left behind again." He turned to run but was tackled by two officers. He fought back wildly. "She's my daughter. You don't have the right." A baton strike stunned him. The cold clink of handcuffs echoed. Claire and Lucy stood behind the window, witnessing it all. Lucy could barely breathe. She trembled, then burst into tears. Claire pulled her close. "I'm okay," Lucy whispered, though her hands shook. "Mom, we made it." Claire stroked her daughter's hair, sobbing. "I'm sorry, for hiding the truth. I thought shielding you was enough." The door burst open. A female officer entered, voice calm and firm. "Is anyone injured? We need to call an ambulance." Lucy pointed to Nolan. "He needs a doctor. He saved us." The officer nodded, speaking into her radio, "Medical unit to Elm Street 14. Elderly male, head trauma, conscious." She turned to Claire. "Are you Claire Morgan?" "Yes. We've been tracking Gabriel Harris for a while. He fled Albuquerque after violating 3 restraining orders. When the emergency signal from your daughter came in, we moved immediately. Good thing we made it in time." Claire collapsed into a chair, silent tears running down her cheeks. Lucy stood beside her, clutching the phone. On the screen, the words, "Emergency location sent," glowed clearly. The sound of an ambulance siren echoed nearby. Gabriel was pushed into the back of a police car, his eyes still darting around, searching for something that no longer existed, perhaps what he once called family, but had destroyed with his own hands. The house was bathed in the red flashing lights of the ambulance and police cruisers. The rain hadn't stopped, but it had softened, no longer a raging storm, but heavy, deliberate drops, prolonging the aftermath of a night that refused to end. Lucy sat curled up on the sofa, wrapped in a blanket. Her eyes were red and swollen but alert. She wasn't crying anymore. What surged within her now wasn't fear but something deeper, heavier, like a stone lodged in her chest. Claire entered from the back door, where officers had been collecting evidence. She sat down beside her daughter and took her hand. The police said Gabriel will be held for at least 48 hours while they investigate, then they'll await the prosecution order, Claire whispered. Lucy gave a small nod, saying nothing. The female officer who had responded first returned, holding an evidence bag. We found these items in the trunk of his car: a map of the town, photos of your house, and a hairbrush. Claire went pale. He's been watching you for a long time, the officer said, her voice steely. He had a clear plan. He knew this place, your routines, even your work schedule. If we hadn't arrived in time tonight, it could have ended very differently. Claire gripped Lucy's hand tighter. Don't say any more. I understand. Lucy lifted her head, her eyes blank. What should we do now? The officer replied, there's a special support program for domestic violence victims. We can take you both to a safe shelter. While awaiting trial, this place is no longer secure. Claire hesitated for a moment, then nodded. We'll go. At that moment, the medical team came in, helping Mr. Nolan from the back of the house. His forehead was bandaged, the bleeding had stopped, but he looked pale. Claire rushed over. Are you okay? An old man getting knocked in the head. Nolan managed a weary smile. I survived thanks to the heavens, and this girl right here. He looked at Lucy with warmth in his eyes. You were very brave, you know that. Lucy looked at him and pressed her lips together. I just did what needed to be done. Claire bowed her head. If it weren't for you, tonight would have been hell. Claire, I promised your mother before she passed that if anything ever happened to you and the girl, I'd be there. I kept that promise and I'll keep it until you're both truly safe. Claire didn't reply, but tears rolled silently down her cheeks. Police finished taking statements, then said, we'll transfer Gabriel to the detention center tonight. Tomorrow morning, you and your daughter should leave town. He will not be allowed to know your new location. Lucy asked softly, what about Mr. Nolan? I'll go to the hospital for a checkup, then head home. But don't worry, I'm not leaving you two behind, he said, patting her shoulder. The police left. The ambulance rolled slowly away, disappearing into the rain. Inside the house, only three remained: Claire, Lucy, and Nolan. Claire stood and looked around. The walls were chipped, the doors unhinged, the bookshelf tilted, and the floor was smeared with wet footprints and dried blood. What once was a home now looked like a battleground. We can't stay here, she said firmly. I agree, Lucy said, rising. Claire went up to the bedroom and took out a locked metal box hidden in a drawer. Inside were all the essential documents: family register, birth certificates, savings passbook, and an old, unsent letter. Lucy widened her eyes as her mother took out the crumpled paper. What's that, Mom? A letter I once wrote to you, when you were 10. When you asked about your real father. I wrote it, then hid it away. Lucy took the letter and slowly read each line. Her mother's handwriting was steady, though the ending wavered, perhaps from tears. My dear child, I didn't want you to grow up in fear. But I couldn't keep lying either. Your biological father was not a good man. He hurt me deeply. He made me believe I wasn't worthy of love. But your existence was proof I was right to walk away. I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to tell you sooner. Lucy hugged her mother tightly. I understand. And I'm not angry. I'm proud of you for being strong all these years. From behind, Mr. Nolan called out, you two should get packed. It's almost dawn. Claire nodded. Just a few hours of rest. Then we leave. For good. Lucy looked over. But Mom, school, my friends, everything. Your life matters more than all of that, Claire replied. Wherever it's safe, that's where our home is. Lucy was quiet, then nodded. The sky began to lighten. The rain eased, replaced by a pale glow stretching along the horizon. In the messy kitchen, Claire still made tea for the three of them. It was instinctual, like trying to salvage a sense of normalcy from the chaos. Lucy stared out the window. She unlocked her phone, opened her digital journal, and typed. I don't know what the future holds. But that day, I made the right choice. I protected my mother the way she once protected me. She saved the entry, locked the screen. Watching her mother pour tea, Mr. Nolan slowly sitting down, Lucy felt, a chapter had closed. A painful one. But a new page was waiting, one of courage, truth, and a promise that darkness would never return. The morning light grew. From the second-floor balcony, Lucy looked down the road where just hours earlier, police lights had cut through the foggy night. The rain had stopped, but the mist hung in the air as if to remind her none of it had been a dream. Claire came out, wrapping a light shawl around her daughter's shoulders. Aren't you cold? Lucy shook her head. No. I just didn't want to leave without saying goodbye. To whom? Claire asked gently. To myself, Lucy answered, her voice strangely calm. She looked out at the trees lining the street, the utility pole still bearing her faint spray-painted doodle, the small flower bed she and her mother had planted when they moved in. All silent witnesses to a once peaceful life, and now, to memories that cut the deepest. Claire wrapped her arms around her daughter, gently, as if the nightmare had never happened. Downstairs, Mr. Nolan sipped the last of his tea from a chipped porcelain mug. Though bandaged and slightly hydrated by the medics, he still held his steady composure, the kind that had earned Claire's trust for so many years. I spoke with an old friend in the Civil Protection Unit, he said when Claire and Lucy came down. There's a temporary apartment available in Redwood Valley. Far away, but quiet. No one knows you'll be there. Claire slowly nodded. Thank you. We'll leave as soon as the sun rises fully. Lucy sat beside him. Will you come back here? I'll clean up, lock the house, then leave, he said. I only hope that place gives you a proper new beginning. Lucy took his hand. Thank you for not leaving us behind. You're braver than anyone I've ever met, he said with a smile, his eyes shining with quiet pride. The police returned at 7 a.m. with documents related to the case, copies of the emergency protection order, and a list of available social services. The same female officer who had come the night before carefully placed everything into an envelope and handed it to Claire. You can contact us at any time. And please, don't feel alone in this, she said, then looked at Lucy. You may not know it, young lady, but you saved 2 lives tonight. Lucy blushed and lowered her head. Claire squeezed her daughter's hand. Their luggage consisted of just 2 small suitcases and Lucy's backpack. They brought little with them, because what truly mattered had already been preserved, their lives, the truth, and a mother-daughter bond that nothing could break. The car stopped at a junction between town and a forested road leading to the temporary shelter. A silver pickup was waiting, driven by an older woman in a community service uniform. Mrs. Claire Morgan and young Lucy, she asked. That's us, Claire replied. I'm Teresa, the woman smiled kindly. We'll take a back route. No one will know where you're going, not even the town police. Only the National Women's Protection Unit has access. Lucy said goodbye to Mr. Nolan one last time. I'll write to you. And I'll write back, he said, patting her shoulder. Claire shook his hand, holding on tightly. I owe you our lives. If one day I find peace, I'll invite you to dinner. As long as you're alive, and free, that's all I need, he said. The car pulled away. Lucy looked back one last time. The sun had risen, casting light across the damp road, slowly blurring everything behind them. One chapter had closed. A new one still unwritten was waiting ahead. On the highway leading out of town, Teresa's car glided smoothly past fields still blanketed in morning mist. Lucy leaned her head against the window, her eyes half closed, but she didn't sleep. She didn't dare. The nightmares were still there, lingering, even though her father had been arrested, even though the sunlight outside was casting hope on a new beginning. Claire was different. She sat in silence, clutching the police file folder as if letting go for even a second would make everything disappear. The apartment in Redwood Valley has 2 rooms, a small kitchen, and good security, Teresa said as she turned onto a tree-lined road. No one but me and the safety network team knows the address. You can stay until the trial is over. Claire nodded. We just need a place to breathe. Just a little peace. Teresa smiled, nodding with understanding. When the car stopped in front of a small white painted apartment, Lucy opened her eyes. She stepped out and looked up at the small wooden sign by the door. Hope House, for those who don't give up. A faint smile appeared on her lips for the first time in days. The apartment was simple but clean. Teresa left her contact number and departed after helping them carry in their belongings. Claire checked all the locks, slid the bolts into place, and finally exhaled in relief. Lucy lay on the new bed, face buried in the pillow. Mom, this time, we're really safe, right? Claire looked at her daughter, came over, and gently stroked her hair. Yes. And this time, no one will ever touch you again. 2 days later, the landline rang. Claire picked up. A woman's voice came through the line. This is Attorney Martha Dawson, appointed by the National Women's Protection Network. I'll be representing you in the upcoming trial. Claire hesitated. Has the trial been scheduled? Not yet, but Gabriel Harris has been officially detained for violating a restraining order, committing assault, threatening lives, and unlawful entry. The attorney's voice was firm. Based on the current evidence, we have grounds to pursue a prison sentence. Lucy stood nearby, listening to every word. Does he have a lawyer? Claire asked. Yes. A man named Julian Reed, well known for defending abusers, but this time, he doesn't stand much of a chance, Martha replied. For the first time, Gabriel can't deny anything. The evidence is overwhelming. Claire's hands trembled. So, we'll have to testify? Absolutely. But you won't be alone. I'll be with you. And there's one more thing, Lucy. She may be invited to speak, if she agrees. Lucy whispered, I want to. Claire looked at her. Are you sure? It's going to be heavy. Lucy nodded. I need to speak. He has to know. I'm not afraid anymore. The following week passed quietly. Claire started cooking again, not just to survive, but to live. Lucy began journaling again, but now not only to vent, but to record the journey of healing. The trial came sooner than expected. The courtroom was small, but full. Gabriel appeared in a gray prison jumpsuit, his hair disheveled, eyes swollen. He kept his head down as he entered, no longer the man who once kicked down their door with defiance. Claire held Lucy's hand. Martha stood beside them and whispered, he won't dare look you in the eye. The judge entered. The session began. Gabriel faced 4 serious charges. He pleaded not guilty. The defendant does not admit to unlawfully entering the home of his ex-wife and daughter, the prosecutor asked. No. I just wanted to see my daughter, he mumbled. Lucy stood up, eyes blazing. You see your daughter by breaking down her door? By hitting people? Threatening lives? Is that what a father does? A murmur swept the courtroom. The judge banged the gavel. Silence. Lucy continued, I suffered for 13 years not knowing who my father was. And now I know, you're evil. You are not my father. You're the nightmare of my entire life. Gabriel turned away. He said nothing more. Martha stood up and presented the evidence, hallway surveillance footage, blood traces, Nolan's testimony, Lucy's SOS signal, everything formed an unbreakable wall of justice. The judge declared, "This session will continue tomorrow for a final ruling. The defendant will remain in custody without bail." Lucy let out a long breath. Claire embraced her. Outside the courthouse, Nolan said, "It's not over yet, but I believe he'll never walk free again." Claire looked up at the clear blue sky. The sunlight was brilliant. She whispered, "One more step, and we'll be free." The next morning, the trial resumed. Outside the courthouse, the sky was overcast. Gentle gray clouds floated above, no longer threatening. Claire stood with Lucy beneath the awning. Neither spoke. What mattered most now was strength. Attorney Martha approached, holding a thick file. "Today it ends. We have all the evidence, all the testimony. He has nowhere left to run." Lucy nodded. "I'm going in with Mom." Claire gave her hand a gentle squeeze. "We'll end this together." In the courtroom, Gabriel was brought in again. He looked thinner than the day before, his prison shirt wrinkled, his eyes dull like someone who hadn't slept. When he saw Claire and Lucy, he bowed his head, avoiding their gaze. The judge entered, gavel in hand. "We resume the trial of defendant Gabriel Harris. Today, the court will make a decision based on testimonies, evidence, and evaluations from both sides." Martha rose, her voice firm and clear. "Your Honor, my client Claire Morgan and her daughter Lucy have lived in fear for over a decade. A restraining order was in place since 2012, but the defendant systematically and intentionally violated it in a calculated and threatening manner." The prosecutor added, "Evidence shows the defendant stalked the victims for months, planned the break-in, and committed violence against an elderly man, Mr. Nolan, and a minor, Lucy." Gabriel's defense attorney, Julian Reed, stood and offered a weak rebuttal. "My client suffered psychological trauma after losing custody. He acted while emotionally unstable. And that instability gave him the right to break down doors and threaten lives." Martha cut in coldly. Julian was speechless. Lucy was invited to speak one last time. She stepped up to the stand, head held high. "I used to think that if I stayed quiet, if I avoided it, the nightmare would go away. But that night, when he broke in, I realized silence doesn't protect anyone. I wish I didn't have to say this in court, but if I have to choose between living in fear and standing up, I choose to stand up." The judge nodded. "You are very brave, young lady." Claire followed next. Her voice trembled, but held strong. "I once loved Gabriel. I once thought he was my safe place. But he shattered that shelter with his own hands. He's not just an abuser, he's a threat to my daughter's life. And today, I ask for justice, not just for me, but for every woman silenced by violence." Silence filled the courtroom. Even the defense had nothing more to say. The judge brought the gavel down. "Based on the evidence, witness testimonies, and legal records, the court finds Gabriel Harris guilty on 4 counts: unlawful entry, assault of an elderly person, violation of a restraining order, and threatening the lives of others." The court sentences the defendant to 12 years in prison, with no parole. A quiet sob came from the back row. Gabriel collapsed slightly, his hands trembling. Guards quickly escorted him out of the room. Claire and Lucy remained seated. When the sound of his footsteps disappeared down the hall, Claire slowly turned to her daughter. "We're free now." Lucy didn't cry, but her eyes shone bright. "This time, it's real." That afternoon, back at the apartment in Redwood Valley, the two sat down to a meal they had cooked together. "Mom, can we go somewhere?" Lucy asked. "Where to?" Claire replied. "Anywhere. As long as you're holding my hand and we're both smiling." Claire took her daughter's hand. "Then we're already on our way." Outside, the wind swept through the pine trees. Golden sunlight spilled across the narrow road leading away from the apartment. No more threatening footsteps. No more whispers stalking the night. Only the soft song of the heart remained. We made it through. And we will never go back to the darkness again. No matter how painful and haunting the past may be, truth and courage are always the light that leads to freedom. Claire and Lucy taught us that silence protects no one, but speaking out at the right moment can save an entire life. Justice must be claimed through truth. Fear must be dissolved with love and resilience. Every woman, every child, deserves to live in safety and dignity. And sometimes, even the smallest act can bring an entire nightmare to an end.
If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing heartwarming stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your support. See you soon.